Hello and welcome back. So now we have index page listing all the questions. We have ask question form to create a question. We have edit question form to edit existing question. And we have delete button to delete particular question. Now let's go ahead and build our show question page, which will show the individual question. So here, this would lead us to show question page or show the detail of the particular question. Also, instead of using this question ID in this URL, we'll be using question slug to make our URL prettier or make our URL more SEO friendly. So let's go ahead and build that. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is isolate our work today in a new branch. Here, we'll do that by saying git checkout-b lesson 11. And the next thing we need to do, because as I said, we will be using slug instead of ID of the question, is to change the show question route to receive slug instead of ID. So let me head over to other terminal and see the routes by typing php artisan route list name questions. So here are the routes that we have, and here we need a way to change this route parameter of question.show to receive slug instead of ID. In other hand, we will keep the other routes as they are. Do you have any idea? So let's switch to our editor and open routes web PHP. I think the best way to do that is to exclude the subroutes in our resource routes like this. And here we need to define the show route manually. Route get questions, and the route parameter, let's say slug. Then it will be handled by questions controller show method. And we need to give the same name to this route as question dot show, like this one. Save that. And now if we see our routes again, we see the route parameter of show question is no longer question but slug, and the route name is the same as before. So by doing this, we keep other question routes to receive ID, but not for show question route. It will receive the string, or slug in this case, and will be implementing route model binding to get the question by slug. Let's go to app providers and open route service provider. Here, let's import question model namespace. And here, we can bind our custom route parameter by saying route bind. This method needs two arguments. The first argument is our custom argument, slug. And in second argument, we can define a closure or anonymous function which receive one argument. Let's call it slug. And inside here, we can say get a question where slug matches with the value that we pass in here. and we need to call first to get a single record. Then we can assign it to a variable, for example, question. And after that, we simply return the question if it's not empty. Otherwise, we show 404 error page. Or we can even simplify all of this, like so. Alright, the next thing that we need to do is changing the question URL in our view. So if you remember, in here we call question URL. So we have encapsulated our question URL into URL accessor in our question model. So let's open the question model. Go to get URL attribute. And here we simply change the second argument of route function helper from ID to Slack. Save all changes. And let's see our show URL. Now you can see here, we have slug in our URL, and we still get a blank page. This is great because that means our route model binding is working. Let's open question controller and go to show method. And here I try to write down, for example, question body like this, and reload the page. Okay, we see our question body here. Let's go back to our editor, get rid of this line, and before we return the show view, here we need to increment the number of views, right? So here we can say question increment views. This line is equivalent with this command. Question views equals question views plus 1 and then question save. Luckily, LARAVEL provides us a better way, so we can simplify this just in one line. Alright, after that, let's return the view. Questions.show and pass in the question object. Now let's create a new view to show the individual question. Let's open create blade.php and save this file as show blade.php. Here let's change the heading to heading 1. And then question title. And here I'll keep the link to go to index page. And inside here, let's delete everything. And we can show the question body like this. Question body. Or because the body of the question is in Markdown syntax, so let's call body underscore HTML instead. So this will be a new accessor where encapsulates the Markdown to HTML conversion. Alright, let's switch to question model. And in here, let's define a new accessor. Public function get body HTML attribute. And in here, we need to convert the Markdown syntax to HTML by utilizing Parser library, which came by default since LARAVEL version 5.5. In prior version, we need to use external library like Graham Campbell Markdown, but in LARAVEL version 5.5 or above, using this library is more than enough. So return parse down double colons instance text and pass in the question body. Save all changes and reload the page. Alright, here our question detail. Let me see another question. Okay, great. And I think that's enough for this lesson. In the future lessons, we will come back here and we will be adding some controls such as vote up, vote down, pay for the question, and accept the question. And we will also display all answers that related to the current question. So now that we have implemented the full set of CRUD functionality in our application, in the next lesson, we will be implement authorization so that the questions can only be modified by the creator of the question.